Hello guys, so this is my YouTube channel. It's a new YouTube channel specifically for English. So this is where we learn English, or maybe you learn. I try to assist you in learning, but we can learn together, I'm sure. And I'm sure I've got lots to learn besides English. So this channel wants to be a fun, interactive channel where we learn by doing fun stuff. So a lot of it is going to be learning through comprehensible input. Comprehensible input. Long word. What? It's manageable. Comprehensible input. I can do lots of videos, and I will do some more videos on this theory of language learning. It's very interesting. For now, all you need to know is that comprehensible input is a method which was invented by this linguist called Stephen Krashen, an American guy, in the 70s, I think. So it's quite a tested method, and the method basically says that to learn a language, what you need most of is comprehensible input. Input, okay? You need input. So you need to consume content. You need to consume content, whether this is films or podcasts or radio or music or books. It's good to consume content. A lot of the comprehensible input method revolves around reading. So reading is a massive part of this method, and I think it's a great idea. And I've got lots of ideas that I want to share in the coming weeks and months and hopefully years to give you some ideas and to give you some actual content, some input that you can consume, some comprehensible input. The idea is that you understand most of what you are consuming, most of the content, most of the input that you're consuming, you understand it. But you don't understand everything. And that's where you make that leap from, this level to this level to this level to this level. Maybe it's slow, but it has to be comprehensible and it has to be fun. And these two things together, comprehensible and fun, make it effective. I would use the other hand, but it's holding a book. And let's get straight into it. Why am I holding this book? Segue. So this book, you can read it here. It says Aesop's Illustrated Fables. Aesop's Fables. Who was Aesop? Aesop was an old Greek writer. Some call him a thinker, philosopher, but he was a writer. He wrote fables. Famous. I mean, he lived 2,500 years ago, more or less, and he still has some of the most famous and recognizable fables in literature, in Western literature to be precise, like The Hare and the Tortoise, which you can see here at the back. Slow and steady wins the race. I could probably not use my finger there to cover the writing. Slow and steady wins the race. The tortoise and the hare. Okay, famous fable. And there's so many more famous fables. And I think it's a great idea because I'm a big fan of fables. I'm a big fan of Aesop and other fable writers. And I think they're a great way of learning. Like, a way that I learned German or improved my German was by reading the Grimm fables by the Brothers Grimm. Die Brüder Grimm. I still have the, wait. Ah, you need a book, you never find it. Found it! So, my bad, it's not just by the Brüder Grimm, by the Grimm brothers. These are fables in German by lots of fable writers. So, even some Aesop, I think. A great selection of fables in German, not just by German writers, but by like Andersen, La Fontaine, some other Russian writers, famous ones. And you can see I've definitely used this book quite a bit. And yeah, I'm very, very attached to this book. I always have it with me, even though I can't find it most of the time. But I always carry it with me if I move or change house. So yeah, this is my personal fable book. And I thought, why not give you the same experience, the same pleasure, and, you know, explore the language, explore English through fables. I think it's a great way, it's fun. They're short fables, so it's manageable. You don't feel like, oh, there's a whole book I need to read or a massive chapter. It's usually quite short. A lot of the time you've heard of some of these fables before. So you already know the story, so all you need to do is tap into the language. To tap into means to start accessing, to start exploring new language, right? You tap into new language because you know the story. And even if you don't know the story, and this is good because you learn new stories, new fables this way, I think it's a great way of doing it because usually it's a short little text and you can go over it as many times as you like. You can listen to it, you can read it, you can rewrite it, you can think about it, you can retell it in your own words. So you can use it in so many different ways. I always think that a fable is a gold mine. It's a gold mine. A gold mine, in abstract terms, is a very, very rich thing that gives you a lot of opportunities, that gives you a lot of possibilities to do something. So gold mine is like, a fable is a gold mine because it's full of opportunities, full of language that you can explore, and you can really go deep into it. And it doesn't get boring. At least to me it doesn't. I hope it doesn't for you either. I'm going to say it like, let's just read one of these fables. Also, a note on this book. Spent quite a bit of money on this book. I don't usually spend, I spend a lot of money on books. I'm not going to lie, I spend a lot of money on books. I don't have much money because I spend it on books. But usually I try to buy books secondhand, from secondhand bookshops, usually physical ones, but in the last couple of years, wonder why they were closed, from online bookshops, secondhand bookshops like World of Books or Thrift Books. I try to avoid Amazon unless I really have to, I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, I bought this new edition, I couldn't find it used, and I thought, well, why not? Let's go mad. Let's go mad and buy a new edition. It's a beautiful edition, as you can see. Gold. This is real gold. I'm going to say... No, it's not. I'm not joking. It's not. Is it? Think of the possibilities. It's just a reflection. It's not gold. But it's a very fancy edition. Very fancy. Fancy is like elegant and it looks good. It looks expensive, right? And it wasn't cheap. But I started reading it and I thought, okay, fine. But this language is a bit dated. Dated. What's dated? It's a good word to know. Dated. Dated is not someone that you went to dinner with. You dated someone. That's the verb. Okay, that's fine. But dated, in this case, is an adjective. Dated means old and not used anymore. Dated, like usually dated language or a dated film. Maybe like a film is a bit dated because, I don't know, it looks old, the acting isn't very good, the light isn't good, it's black and white. You know, I like black and white films, to be honest, but anyway, a dated film, a dated book, something that isn't relevant. It's not relevant to today. So it's not useful anymore. Anyway, this language is a bit dated because it's a bit, I think a bit 19th century, to be honest. It's a bit old and a bit too posh and fancy, and no one speaks like this, you know. Anyway, but you find these editions, and it's a fancy edition with a bit of fancy dated language. But what I did is, and maybe you can see actually, I have kind of written over some of the language, and I've made my own version. I made it simpler. I tried to make it simpler, more everyday language, more useful, basically. Maybe that's a good idea, actually. Maybe I could do another video in the future where I can test you guys and we can work together to find better ways of saying or writing these fables. Maybe we can see, oh, this language is a bit dated, it's a bit old. How can we change it? How can we make it more modern, more relevant, more useful? And maybe we can do a video like that where you can have give your input. So yeah, that's really good. Interactive. Remember, this is not just me to you. It can be you to me to you, to me, to me. Some people maybe are thinking, oh, it's a beautiful edition. You shouldn't write on the beautiful edition. This is a crime against books. Forget it. You know, a book is made to be used. It's made to be noted. It's made to be commented on, written on, changed, and, you know, just personalized, okay? That's what I do. It's my book, my rules. Ow. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read one fable for today. I was thinking of reading two, but I think one is good enough to start with and see if you like this method. I've spoken a lot today, haven't I? Jesus. Anyway, the story, the fable we're going to read is called The Fox and the Stork. The stork. What is a stork? Well, it's that animal there. That's easy. I'll just show you the stork. Also, a stork is famous because a stork is the bird that delivers babies when they're born and they fall from the sky. Not true. Don't know how old you are, but that's not how babies are born. I'm going to do another video on how babies... No, I'm joking. Maybe you've seen the Disney film Dumbo, and the elephant, you know, the elephant and the circus. And at the beginning, there is the stork that delivers the little babies, baby elephants. Anyway, baby animals. Okay, before we read it, I'm going to introduce some language. So this is the idea. I introduce some bits of language that maybe are not as easy, not as obvious. And then you're going to hopefully recognize it during the story. So, just nice and quick, we are going to introduce at his expense. At his expense. It's a nice little expression. What does it mean? At his expense. At someone's expense. At someone's expense means that usually you make a joke or you say something or do something which is a bit bad, funny. At someone's expense means that they are the victim. Okay, for example, last night my friends and I had a laugh at my expense. They were laughing at my neck, which is very long and thin, and, you know, everybody was having a good laugh at my expense. Okay, so they were laughing at me, and I was the victim of the joke and of the laughter. They were laughing at my expense. Okay, so here we have at his expense. Okay, you'll see in the context later. Second little expression of the fable is to lap it up. To lap it up, or to lap it up. Lap it up, it up, it up. It's like a short r. We're not going to do too much pronunciation today, but lap it up, lap it up. To lap it up, it's a good phrasal verb. What does it mean? So it has two different meanings. I'm going to give you the general abstract meaning first. To lap something up is when you believe or accept information very willingly, okay? And you're very gullible. Gullible is when you believe everything. You're gullible because you believe what everybody says and you just lap information or you lap stories up. Whatever people tell you, you're like, you lap it up. Yeah, give it to me. Like gossip, lap it up. Thank you. Okay, you lap stories, you lap information, you lap lies up. Okay, politicians who give lies to the public and the public just laps it up like, yeah, sure, I accept it. Yeah, I believe it. I lap it up. The other way we can use lap it up is more physical, and usually it's with animals. Animals, hence the old fable. To lap it up is when an animal, like a dog, think of a dog, drinks from like a plate usually, and they lap water up. I could have not put that bit in the video, but I decided to keep it in the video. Anyway, that's the idea. I wanted to make it clear that lap it up is by using your tongue to drink water. If you're an animal, okay? You can kind of do it if you're a human being, but don't just drink from a glass. You don't need to lap it up. So to lap it up is when a dog or even a cat or other animals, they drink from the ground. And usually it's to lap it up, it's like a very energetic action. Like, again, stop doing. Okay, anyway, I think you get it. To lap it up. expression number 3 of the fable is bearing this in mind. Bearing this in mind. To bear something in mind is to remember, okay, to not forget. It's when you need to keep something in your head, some information or whatever it is, and not forget it because it could be useful. Okay, bearing this in mind, usually it's when you want to do something and you do it thinking about something. So bear this in mind when you do that. For example, if you go out in London for the day, for the whole day, if you're a tourist in London, or even if you live like me in London, bear in mind that it can rain in London. It often rains, so bear that in mind. Bear in mind that it can rain, so take an umbrella with you. Take an umbrella with you because it could rain. So you need to bear in mind that it can rain, take an umbrella. Okay? To remember, to not forget to think about something before you do it or as you do it. Okay? So bear it in mind. Expression number 4 is forced. Forced, an adjective, which means that for some reason you have to do something. You are forced if you have no option but to do something. Okay? It's not because you want to, but because you have to. It's a necessity. You're forced to. Okay? For example, if you want to earn money, you are forced to work. That's the only way you can make money, I think. Yeah? Anyway, that's the usual way. Or if you don't want to die, you're forced to eat and drink. Okay? I think that's definitely the only way that you have to eat to survive. Anyway, you are forced to eat. Or, I think you get it, right? I think that's clear enough. Forced. You have to do something. Another one that I'm not obsessed, but this expression, number 5, is lick. Okay, lick. I'm sure you've heard of it. Lick is with the tongue, okay? It's what I was doing earlier when I was showing the lap it up. So you lick with the tongue. You lick. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not a pervert. Okay, I'm just trying to teach English. I swear. Oh, good. Expression number 6, which I'm going to keep it short, is got him good. Got him good. You got him good. This is very informal, almost slang. It doesn't say that in the original. In the original, it's very different. I won't give you the original now. But the one I suggest is got him good. Got him good means that when you play a joke on someone, okay, and the joke really works, like you got him good, yeah? For example, if you call your friend to your room, but on the top of the door, you put like a glass of water attached to a string, which is attached to the door handle. When your friend opens the door and comes in, the glass flips and the water splashes on his head like. Okay, in that case, if you play that trick, that joke, okay, the water splashing on your friend's head, after you say, "Over here, I've got something really important," you got him good. You got him good. Okay, the joke really worked. Okay, you got him good. Very informal. Okay, enough. These expressions, we've done them. Let's go and read the story. Silence, please. The Fox and the Stork by Aesop, of course. A fox one day invited a stork to have dinner with him, and, wishing to laugh at his expense, put the soup which he had for dinner in a large flat dish, so that, while he himself could lap it up quite easily, the stork could only dip in the tips of his long bill. Stork has a bill. Forgot to mention that. Some time after, the stork, bearing this trick in mind, invited the fox to have dinner with him. He, in his turn, put some minced meat in a long and narrow-necked vase, into which he could easily put his bill, Well, Mr. Fox was forced to lick what ran down the sides of the vase. The fox then remembered his old trick and was forced to admit that the stork had got him good in return. I enjoyed that story. Hope you did as well. Now, I'm not going to speak too long, but you know that usually we have a moral at the end of a story, of a fable specifically, especially these Aesop fables. They're stories that have a meaning, a moral to them. I didn't mention this before, but this is the time to mention it. These stories are meant to give a message. They all have a message, specific message that we can use in our lives, that we can understand and relate to. Now, I could give you the moral of the story. Okay, I could give you a read it, and I've got one of my own. The book has one, and I've got one of my own, but I'm not going to share it just yet, because I would like you to create or come up with. To come up with is to invent. I'd like you to come up with a moral for the story. So if you've heard the story, maybe re-listen or re-watch that bit of the story that I read, and come up with a moral of your own and share it in the comments of this video. Don't Google it and think, I'm just going to copy paste. Easy. Don't do that. That's too easy. Think of something yourself which is good practice, because it makes you think about what you've read, about what you've listened, about what you've watched, and it makes you use language. Come up with your own English. So do that, and I will see you here next week, or you will see me. Probably you will. I won't see you, but I'll think of you when you look at me. Not in a weird way, just in a teacher, assist like language enthusiast kind of way. I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to thank you for listening to one of Aesop's fables, and read more of these. These are great, and you can find editions for Aesop fables in English which are not as expensive. You can find them on the cheap, which means you can find cheap ones. You can find them on the cheap from bookshops, secondhand bookshops, thrift books, or World of Books, for example. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video, which will be a little bit different, or be a little bit more original, because I like to change it up, switch it up, give you different content, different comprehensible input. This is the theme of this channel. Hope you enjoy it. I'll see you very soon. Ciao!